beyond Malzahar.
Blessed with their presence. All
Blessed?
hail.
Cursed? Both?
Either way,
Yes.
something notable of appearance on...
That duck is terrifying. Truly, I have nightmares. Maybe he is the nightmare.
Yeah, well, I think this split has been Singularity's nightmare, if we're going to go back to the game once more. I know we have to do that at some point. Singularity sat at 0 and 13, and yeah, they probably wouldn't necessarily want to be focused on this split so much themselves if they were in our shoes. Again, too many shoes. But this time, they have the ability to be a bit of, well, not quite a blue shell, because obviously NYYRIKKI are chasing towards that 6th place spot. And given how good the 7-win teams, actually now going up to 8-win teams as well, have looked, that is a tall task.
And you are trying to steal a playoffs position from Riddle, from Dusty, or from Veneer. As it stands, with only 5 games left to play, well, 4 games after this game is done for every other team, of course, you have got to reach at least 7 wins. I'll say it again.
And then hope.
And then hope. That means X7, JDXL, and Bifrost are all confirmed in playoffs.
Also means they are you're kind of your best friend at that point. You want them to slip up to you if you're facing them and beat down all these mid-table packs so you can catch up with them.
Which is why, actually, Veneer getting that win against JDXL earlier was such a big deal for them, because it's a win against a team that was already pretty much confirmed, and it means the opportunities to take a slot away from someone get narrower for the likes of NYYRIKKI, Astralis, who, of course, did fall short earlier today, and, of course, M&M, who also did not manage to get it done versus X7 in the previous game. NYYRIKKI currently on a 3-game losing streak, and they've got themselves a relatively standard front to back with the Rise kind of playing something of a side laner. But I did like what the desk was saying about the kind of the double cage comp, the fact that Tatui clearly isn't wearing shoes because he's decided he's actually going to have knives instead of legs, which are also fairly dangerous. Who's got a split push thread as well.
Yeah, but speaking of those double cages and all of these comps and stuff, I think that a lot of this in the early game is going to be determined by Trundle and Rise having infinite prior of what Singularity are doing. Desiderate already level 3, walking into Porp's jungle, who hits level 3 themselves. But Vigar can't push out from tower. Porp has to abandon his blue buff because he knows that his mid lane opponent's mid lane is in his jungle.
Porp flashing out of his wolf pit at sub 3 minutes. That is the power of early jungle tracking. It's a full blue side clear into a full blue side invade from Desiderate.
It's that, and it also, this harkens back to what has been one of the big issues for Singularity, which is if they are playing around early jungle pathing, their lanes have rarely been in a position to support that. They have rarely been in a position to respond. Luckily for Porp, that, well, I mean, I say luckily. He's lost the coin flip of guessing which side of the jungle, which Desiderate had.
Surely he's sure with the blue buff on.
Saw the blue buff, but he might have thought he'd gone towards
the invade
blue
on
Wolves Raptors.
Right.
But either way, he's gonna find himself half a jungle quadrant down, and that's of course been added into the hungry belly of Desiderate. And Desiderate, who, let's be honest, against JDXL, had a bit of a shocker last game. Flipped over a crab, did a bit of a blabber versus DFM. So I got to reference that team in relevant.
Yep, he did a crabber, specifically.
He did a crabber. He feasted upon crustacean, and then the enemy kind of got fed off of him.
Look, you know, the likes of, you know, PUBG has winner chicken dinner. We've got crustaceans. That's our choice. We've got seafood.
Do you have a rhyme for it? No. I'm gonna say
game win, inflation, stop inting for the crustacean.
That is much better than I could have come up with, but Desiderate has come up with something in the bot lane, and caught Yepe!
Challenge me, and I will deliver. NYYRIKKI trying to get a play in the bot side. Yepe taken desperately low towards 5. Abagnale knocked up by the 3. Talon, strike, needs to land under the wind, becomes lightning into audacious charge, gets first blood, and vengeance for the early invade as Yepe flashing forwards, but doesn't have the most HP, doesn't quite die to the final rocket from Fishbones. I remember Jinx's rocket launcher for a second as in comes Aero looking for an invade. Does have flash, does not have ghost. What can he get done? It's a 1v3. Porp stepping forward. Hook come through as well. Yepe doing a lot of work, and Spikey gets 1, gets 2, and Singularity might be finally pulling a blue shell. Poor Aero now needs to back away. Singularity will not find more, and Spikey on the Aphelios comes up clutch.
Yape landing a hook after hook, but he's gonna fall for it.
Get it. Spellflux not quite enough for final auto! And it's an overload that brings down the Nautilus.
An overload to punish an overstay from both of these teams. Saw that a lot in that last game. Going back into the replay of all of this, though, it starts with early aggression from that Trundle. You know that he wants to keep pushing up the ante. You know that Porp has been shut out of this game, but again, credit to Porp at this point, actually, after being shunted out of his own jungle, finds himself at the right place at the right time to at least turn this play around and turn around some of those early game woes. So both teams coming in with some heavy hitting punches in the early game. They've traded 1 or 2 apiece now.
And Aero saw a potential angle, but it was 1v3 here, and honestly, I am slightly surprised he didn't go down. The turnaround from Yepo, though, and that flash forward for the Dusk Wave, for the Binding Eclipse. Beautiful stuff from Spiky. He just couldn't quite get the wave into tower, and Aero with a solid punish. And Dragane, even on the Veigar, doesn't actually get that much back in terms of the wave. Of course, he has just reset.
He's a Veigar.
Yeah,
What do you want from this champion? He's only got little legs, Sam.
Yeah, but he's down 20 CS despite that long-term roam is more what I was getting at.
He's only got little legs and little staff things, Sam.
He is the font of quite a lot of phenomenally evil power.
He might be in 15 to 20 minutes, but for the
right now, it's just a small amount of phenomenally evil power.
I have a small amount. It doesn't sound quite as imposing when you say that.
Well,
I have a small amount of
imposing figure.
Phenomenal evil. You're like, okay, that's actually not that concerning.
I've got about, like, I don't know, $1 worth of phenomenally evil power.
Well, Dragane would like to spend that dollar to get a ticket out of the mid lane gank, and he does so. Great job. Public transport working well on Summoner's Rift today. I could see that there's no line disruptions here. And focusing on other areas of the map, we do see that both junglers are hanging around the top side for now, handing off a blue buff, whereas Porp going to try and catch up in some of that farm, which was so deceitfully stolen from him early. And both these junglers now kind of getting to that point where they've kind of had their first initial salvo in this early game. And they're waiting for that. Yes.
I know I'm cutting you off here, but I've committed a cardinal sin of play-by-plays.
Going for it.
I've forgotten an ability name.
What's that?
I'd like to know. It's the one that allows Veigar to stack up his passive, the Q. What's it called again? The one where he throws a little lines shield.
Baleful Strike.
Baleful Strike, thank you so much.
I thought that, wait, Sam, I genuinely thought you were going to trap me into a pub.
No, I was actually genuinely quite upset.
Well, they've trapped some people in the bot lane.
Yeah, they have indeed. Thank you for rescuing me. I apologize for my lack of knowledge, but I will now remember the name Baleful Strike.
Not gonna lie.
Strike 1 against me.
I'm not gonna lie, I was sat there and I looked at you with quite a...
you look very nervous.
Quite a condescending gaze, and I look back and I see some stuff happening in the bot lane, and then again in the top lane.
There is still gonna be a Call of the Force Call gets 2 up. He's gonna get the solo in a 1v2. Patoska, you can't do that. Porp should surely be able to finish this one up. Patoska looking to see if he can get the knock up on the pillar, can't quite make it. Doesn't quite have the damage, and Porp will secure it, but that should never have happened.
No, probably not. Actually, the last time we saw a Camille in a similar situation was Cries the other day, and he was out playing a 1v4. So that tends to happen when you have insane leads, which Tatooine does not have. So Patoshka, this player which you often visit in the sides of standout players, the explosive players in the good or bad direction for NYYRIKKI, does find a decent kill there. Now, is it going to mean that much? Not massively. At the end of the day, he still died on the top side. At least the kill doesn't go over to the side of Camille, at least. And now we are left contesting Herald.
Herald started by NYYRIKKI. Roam over from Aero. Not a lot of room to contest. It's a decent hook onto Yepe, who's trapped behind the Flame Chomper, so will take a solid 2/3 of his HP bar. There needs to be a little bit wary of a Super Mega Death Rocket that could come through to make his life particularly challenging. The Herald was secured. Porp has decided there was no way of contesting, so he's instead looking for a lane gank down here. He is off vision right now.
He is, but then look at what's happening with the mid-jungle from NYYRIKKI. So NYYRIKKI will win out on this trade if nothing happens in this bot side. So Singularity looking to make a play work on the bot side. It's going to be plates. It's going to be a wave lost. But the person who's losing out for this is Porp, and that has so often been the case for this team. At least Porp picked up some kills across the map. Now moving out of bot lane, they could find themselves caught, but I'm not going to pull the trigger there.
All right, there's the Herald summon. They already got A plates. This will be 2 more. Will not... Oh, actually, that's not quite able to interrupt that. I wondered whether there might be just about time to have to pull it out of the charge, but it had already set up, and that meant that Shelly was going to go through and secure those plates for NYYRIKKI. And they find themselves up about 400 gold in this early game. Of course, the early kills going the way of Spiky have meant that they're at least staying relatively close, but I'm looking at relatively solid CS leads in mid. Obviously, the jungle differential there, the plate's going down. NYYRIKKI's doing more than fine in this early game, and in fact, now actually to a slight gold lead in general.
They have a lot less, puns aside, I was actually going to say they have a lot less like spiky gold leads themselves because they have more even gold across the board. So you are looking at Aphelios as the person who needs to be very efficient with their gold, needs to do more than their fair share of carrying because your Camille is not really ahead. They died that first time. Your mid lane is not going to be in a great position to do that for a little while either. So you're waiting to see what's going to happen with this Aphelios. Now, Aphelios is one of the best gold carries in the game. And we'll have to keep our eyes on that later. Because Spiky, of course, is up against Aztor, one of our best AD carries in the league. I genuinely think he is second best or best Aphelios in the league. Of course, he's on the Jinx this year.
Yeah.
And Spiky taking up the mantle of that one himself. And really, we're not seeing that much action at this point. As we said, the junglers have kind of crested their ability to really be a wrecking ball on the map, and potentially this will be the next time to kind of hand the baton over to their teammates at Dragon.
If I had to put a potential fly in the ointment, it's that I've not been especially impressed with NYYRIKKI as a whole when Patoshka isn't on a side lane threat. When he's been on things like the Orm, when he's been on things like the Cho'Gath, they've looked a lot less comfortable in the mid game than they are when he's on something like the Gangplank or the Jax, or the Tryndamere even, which is perennially, permanently, never mind perennially, all the time banned against
I don't
that
even
guy.
know the meaning of the word.
Perennially, like every other year or like half a year, something like that.
Oh, I actually didn't realize that. So, that's English Lessons with Sam, who has a lot more knowledge of that than me.
If I remember correctly, it's a bit like biannually, where you're like, does that mean twice a year or every 2 years? And it can mean either, depending on context.
What?
It's really stupid.
Well, don't confuse me
It's
like
really
that.
stupid. No, it's genuinely
Sam, my brain is filled with League of Legends facts, nothing about actual vocabulary.
I personally prefer to subscribe to cat facts.
The cat might be out of the bag here in the bot lane as the sweeper spots him in the bush.
And that's a lot of traded autos. That's a flash for the root. Azzator now trying to back his way up, trying to auto their way forward. Flash forward from Spiky, look for the binding eclipse and the Dusk Wave. Can't quite secure it. Will surely be going down, but no, flash away from Azzator. And body blocking by Abagnale means that there's no way out. Dragane is coming down though. Can he make it work with the primordial burst and a flash? No way to miss that one with a point and click deletion.
That is so harsh. Just like flashes in, like comes in, just like initial D music in the background, like I'm coming for that Jinx.
It's just like it's just literally gone flat. It's like, you know, when you turn up to, like, you know, those memes of LeBron turning up to a middle school basketball court and just going for a slam dunk over their head. That was basically Azzator. Poor guy.
Oh, gosh. So back to where they started. That sweeper got some serious value for Yappe, and they decide, right, we're going in, we're going to commit to this. Damage calculation very, very close, comes down to the wire, but when you have the Predator on the Vega and a flash available to them, you know that Nails cooldowns are down. This is so unfair. Oh, that is, you just got to feel so bad because they worked so hard on that TV2. They calculated so well, and then those short legs walked a whole long way to get there.
That was a particularly rude word to specifically Azzator, as locked into the cage of Patoshka. He outplayed it last time. He gets another double knockup. Not quite enough even with the flash. And he does go down this time. This one secured by Tatui. In the mid lane, though, Aero and Desidere will be able to secure first turret in mid lane. Dragane punished for his roaming ways.
And they also get the last plate too, just before the plate's time off in the top side. You talk about Patoshka and kind of worrying about him if he's not on a side lane threat. Well, they are now in a threat in the side lane because they're
out the mana. He's got flash, but Tatui gets pulled behind a pillar and the hard place that is Desidere and Aero, hitting them with every spell available. With nothing to work with, will have a flash chomp that does not secure the kill because Aero manages it instead.
Okay, so another overstay, not quite understanding the position of the Rise, and of course that Trundle on the map. And that Trundle has a Divine Sundra already, seriously ready to fight. Of course, most people are starting to build up towards their mythics at this point. And you look at the hard-earned victory in topside that has now been put into more gold onto this Rise, and the person who's realistically going to be dealing with that Rise is going to have to be someone like this Camille in the side lane. And once you get up to that Fimbulwinter, I mean, that Camille's actually going to kind of struggle to cut through him in a 1v1 scenario, which means that NYYRIKKI do have themselves a side lane option, though it's not on Patoshka like you were saying, which you were a little worried about.
Indeed, and there's a little irony perhaps in Camille buying Divine Sundra going into a Fimbulwinter, which of course Norse mythology was the death of the gods. That's where Fenrir comes out.
Oh, really? I
Norse
thought
gods,
that
yeah,
was. I thought that was Ragnarok. The end
So
of all
it's a
things.
Fimbulwinter is when Fenrir comes out, I believe.
Oh, right.
It's
I'm
the winter, it's the winter, the end of the world, if I remember correctly.
I'm absolutely.
But Ragnarok is the big. Ragnarok's the big final fight.
You know, I would have. You know why?
Believe.
I would have learned this if there was like a Percy Jackson series of Norse mythology.
It was an Age of Mythology, though.
That's true.
One
I did play a
of
lot
the god
that game.
powers in Age of Mythology. To
Yes,
those who were old enough to have played that game or committed enough to old school RTSs, great game.
The thing is, Vince Chauci very famously used to play that game too. So
He
there are
was the
some
maker of that game.
connections.
He was really good.
NYYRIKKI are trying to make some connections, kind of line up the dots and find themselves maybe towards a mid lane push as Singularity are taking down that Herald, and they might catch themselves a Veigar.
He's got no flash, he's got a cage though that gets a lot of value. The Death Sentence goes wide, but he just can't get enough distance and does go down. No boots, and therefore not dangerous enough to escape with his life.
Pull back into the hungry maw of the Charybdis-named NYYRIKKI, if we're staying on mythological terms. The NYYRIKKI are going to maybe catch out their second catch of the day in the Camille.
They are going fishing, but the hook doesn't quite land, and that means Tatui won't sink either.
A bit of a yellow star. Missed the hook, misses the play, but I mean, at least they were there at the right point. You're trying to potentially judge a misstep, a backstep out of a hook, or predict a flash in itself. Not going to lead to anything more on the kill department, but NYYRIKKI find themselves a lot of territory. They find themselves under enemy lines.
There's a Realm Warp, but the Hextech Ultimatum prevents the escape. Dragonic coming down now. Watch for the cages, watch for the damage. Azator left to die. He forced it to Tatui. Spiky coming down. He's not here quite yet, and that means there's some room to potentially damage people. Tatui goes wide with the hook shot. That means that they can still start falling. Abigail trying to escape. The onslaught plus Dustwave forcing Aero to run away. They can't quite kill him even with the Moonlight Vigil. Gale Force Dustwave does the job though. Now Desiree going to fall out, and Singularity just take NYYRIKKI apart.
Take him apart. Considering trying to run, but the minions are having none of it. And Dragana gets that final kill participation. And you know what? We were praising NYYRIKKI pretty hard for those rotations, but not for the first time, and probably not for the second or third either. One of these teams just does not understand when to get the hell out of dodge. What happens here, of course, is you have a Realm Warp stopped by a big old Camille LC. Stuck way too far outside of enemy lines behind enemy lines at that point, and Singularity, credit to them, is something that they've rarely done in this split. Find the right time to choose a fight.
They do, and that was so well done. And that double knock up there, so nice. One from Porp, one from Yepe, did all the work they needed. And Goldberg, oh, sorry, I got his name, I got his O and U the wrong way around, I apologize. Said on the desk that Singularity right now can only be the evil team. They can be the team to potentially take away dreams of playoffs from the likes of NYYRIKKI. They nearly managed to take a win off Riddle. They failed. There was that B-roll, that continued clip of MC stealing the Baron at kind of the end of a slow fading of their gold lead. Singularity right now are at Soul Point, are ahead in kills, are pretty close in gold. They have a hyper-scaling Veigar, who is looking towards a death cap, and speaking of being evil, it feels rather appropriate they're playing that champion.
And of course, Dragana came in as a late substitution in this split midway through, because for Muta, who for the longest time was very high damage percentage but on this team for Singularity, but with Dragana coming in, actually a lot of the best performances have come in, and they've looked a little bit more cohesive after this mid lane change. Of course, I mean, they still haven't found those results. On the other side, of course, Aero, the mid lane of NYYRIKKI in this matchup, was brought in for this split. Actually, NYYRIKKI qualified for this league in the very first place with Wazen, who is now their sub. And Aero's come in and in an attempt to bolster this roster as well, and neither of them have found the levels of success they would have looked for in this split. Still looking to develop, still looking to clutch onto hopes of playoffs on the side of NYYRIKKI as well.
Double charge that Herald in mid lane gets them both an outer tower in mid, and a significant permanent chunk onto that inner turret in mid lane. Aero, though, pulling off a Chovy, pulling off a Duumbi with these CS hacks, has been up 30-odd CS over the timer. Pretty much able to game long as Dragane about to get Realm Warped on, but that's a really easy Event Horizon. There's a lot of damage back. Call of the Forge God does get a port, but he's got a Crescent Guard to buy space in time to Incinerate.
Okay.
Goes down. He takes a Primordial Burst to the face and goes down a turn. Porp gets out alive. Spiky with Crescendum has got so many Chakras. Tutui's into the backline, but he only gets a stun onto Abagnale, but he's locked Azator into a second and Cage on the other side. A Event Horizon comes down, Dragane dies for it, but they still win the fight. Yepe finally burns out, but Abagnale takes a hook shot to the face. He goes down, line and sinker for a double for Paul.
I mean, they still have themselves great weapons to do Baron on Aphelios. It's a 4 for 2. This should be a Baron to Singularity, an objective they rarely see in any of their games.
That's their first Baron.
Looking to try to go to this, but Patoska has got the spellbook smite, has a flash, has a hope, a prayer, and don't let it be a Baron steal again. I couldn't take it. Emotionally, I'm not prepared for this.
Surely not. Can you block him? Here comes Zero. You can't let him in. You've got to block him. He can't get into the pit. Take him out. Stop that man. It's secured. They have the Baron. Desiderate is here, but not in time. They'll take him as well. And NYYRIKKI do not make it happen. And Singularity have Baron to their name.
Crisis averted, but you had to think, you had to look on in horror for just a second. Singularity punishing the overstep from Desiderate. First time we saw him on the trundle was, I believe it was versus Dusty in their victory versus them, and even then he had some duff moments, had the great early game, but struggling to land all of those punches in these fights and safely stay alive. And once that first kill comes down, it seems like the whole formation of NYYRIKKI falls apart. There's no one to keep the Jinx out of danger. That Camille gets right on top of them, zeroes in on top of Aztor's head, and Singularity now with the Baron, now with a significant gold lead, at least, well, okay, the starting of one. It's not much you want, but it's enough, and they have a way to push things on the map.
And Port, from being down 20 CS, from being invaded as wolves so early on, from a failed re-invade to try and trade back, is now 6-1-5, 2 items in, even in CS, and playing this game out with style. You've got a death cap on Dragane. You've got 5-1-6 of Aphelios.
Picture-in-picture of Tao's dying.
And a picture-in-picture of a split push indeed. It's Hullbreaker complete, and this might be the rock that NYYRIKKI break on, that their playoff dreams die on. They need to turn this around. They might have found an angle here. Here's the realm warp. It would be a 5 versus 4. Call of the Forge God. But can they make it work? That will surely be Yepe trading his life out. It's a decent Moonlight Vigil in turn, though. Look at the damage onto Patoska. He is dead. Tatui survives. The death sentence lands, but I don't think it's going to get followed up on Pop. Knocks up Abagnale. And a Dark Matter makes a huge annihilation reaction to wipe him from existence. Pop goes forward, does need to be a little afraid going in. He's got Crescent Guard, trying to trade on Transitor, can't quite make it happen. Healing up with a Death Dance, will survive, and that is a kill that comes through onto Desiderate. The Troll King falls. Where were you when Singularity were 20 kills to 10? Where were you when Aztor was about to be run down? A baleful strike come through, a Cage is out. And the Cage match is Singularity's to lose.
It starts with a realm warp, it ends with the Jinx falling. It ends with Aztor for not nearly the first time this split, looking on in horror as the team collapses and he doesn't have a platform to put out the damage he needs to. And Singularity in one of their first games again, it's a little bit, it's pushing a little bit hard on this, but how often have we seen them string together good fights? And this seems to be 3 off the back of each other. Starts with the Call of the Forge God, but the cancel, as you're saying, traded for the life of the Nautilus. And Yepe does his team a massive favor with that, because they all lined up like bowling pins. Not to be knocked down at this point. And real credit again to all of the CC abilities used by Singularity, going in for the knockups on this Xin Zhao. The Cage is continually changing the terrain of the battlefield, and Singularity playing it a bit close to the line again, but being paid off for their boldness.
I went hunting to see whether Singularity had gotten a Baron this split. I believe they've gotten 1. I think this is their second Baron all split long. They are up 6,000 gold. They have Soul. They have the tower lead. And just look at the items, look at the scaling. Aphelios, Veigar, Camille. Those are some of the biggest 3-4 item threats in League of Legends. It's 24 minutes in, and NYYRIKKI are looking lost in this game.
But they might find something away back to the map with Tatui.
It's Dragane, though. He could have turned around. It's double Cage again. He's going to be locked up and locked down. Shaken straight out. And look on the other side. Aero at least gets a bounty back, but it's at the cost of their top laner, their front liner, the person who's supposed to ward away the onslaught of Singularity. They're rising up in this game. They're looking to play the biggest of upsets. Inhibitor about to fall. Secured.
Okay, they have themselves a soul. The Hex Tech Soul Decidere looking to find something with a pillar. All he finds is a hook.
They find the hook, and it might be what they need to find an edge to close the game out. They're being forced under their Nexus towers now. Tatui will set up onto this bot lane turret. It's fallen. Inhibitor sure to go after the Hextech Soul, sends out the lightning, and the sparks are flying. Lightning might be striking here. It will be a shock, a horror, a start for Singularity. This would be the end of the losing streak. 13 games and no more, they say. They will not consider it an unlucky number. They will not consider it a winless split. They will take down NYYRIKKI and Singularity. Welcome to the NLC. You finally got a game.
A split with university players, a split with low expectations, and it takes them a goddamn long time, but gotta feel something for